before I begin, I do have an outline of kind of everything I wanted to talk about in this video. And so if I'm looking at my phone, that is why I wrote everything out that I feel like I need to say, and I wanted to make sure I hit everything. That's why sometimes I'm gonna be looking down. To start off, I wasn't actually going to talk about this. I have moved on in my life, and if you watch my videos consistently, you know that I'm at a really good place in my life. It has been 2 years since this situation, and I've really grown from it. I've grown from the last couple years, and I've moved past this. I have dealt with the trauma that it's caused me. I've gone to therapy, and I'm doing really, really well afterwards. But when I was thinking about if I wanted to make this video, at first I was hesitant because I was like, I moved past this. I don't want to bring this up. I don't want to bring up old trauma. It's not necessary. Like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. Because I've already shared it with my friends and family and with my therapist and all of that. So I don't really need to release anything at this point regarding the situation. But the more I thought about it, it just kept coming back into my head. If I would have watched a video on this topic before having gotten into that situation, or while I was in it and needing help to get out of it, I think first off, it would have been very comforting for me. And second off, it would have really saved a lot of the pain that I went through. If I knew someone else had gone through it, and maybe I would have been able to make better decisions, more clear decisions, just knowing that this isn't something that you want for your life. So that is why I am making this video, because if it can help, you know, somebody that is going through this, or that went through it, or is currently in it, or about to go through it, like, if it can help you in any sort of way, or even just have comfort in knowing that you aren't alone if you have gone through this, then that's all I really want from this video, and that's why I'm filming it today. I will get into everything that happened, but I do want to start off by saying, after the year that I was in this, I was really traumatized after. I couldn't sleep for months, honestly, almost a year. I couldn't sleep at night. I was crying all night, but I would wake up and like work really hard because I wanted to make my dreams come true. And like my focus was tunnel visioned into these things to distract me. I was like really focused on my career. I was really focused on fitness afterwards. Because I was just trying to do anything that I thought would make me feel better. And it did help to have those distractions, and they were very positive distractions. But what ended up helping me the most was going to a professional, was going to a therapist, a psychiatrist afterwards. So if you are going through any of this, I do recommend that, because that's what helped me. Obviously, to each their own. I'm not giving you any advice. I'm just sharing my story. I want to say that I do believe there are bad people intentionally doing bad things. And then I think there are people who unintentionally do bad things and hurt people without really knowing that they're doing that. And the person that I'm talking about, I believe, is not intentionally a bad person. I think that they didn't even realize what they were doing was wrong, which doesn't make it less wrong. I think that's something that they need to work on and grow from. But I did want to say, I don't think this person intentionally meant to hurt me, because I think that's important to say. So the experience I want to share is a relationship I had where I was 23 at the time, and this person was a grown 26-year-old man. In the moment, I really thought nothing was wrong. I thought, you know, it's okay. Like, if you care about somebody, if you love somebody, it doesn't matter about age. I do still think that to some capacity, that love is love, and that it really doesn't have to do with your age. But I think there are also cases where somebody is being preyed on. And like I said, I don't think this person was necessarily doing that. But after more has come out that I've heard about, I think this is kind of a cycle that this person takes. This seems to be kind of a pattern in their life. And so for me, that is an issue. It really explains a lot to me. It's shed a lot of light on the actual relationship that I had with them. I think that I was trying to be groomed. I was trying to be manipulated, and I was trying to be trapped. and gaslighted. I think that there is a lot that went into this relationship, and when I look at it now as a 26-year-old woman, still very young, but also with now 3 more years of experience and looking at that relationship and seeing how unhealthy it was, I think all these things were trying to be pushed on me. And luckily, I am a very strong, independent person, and I was like, this is not right for me. This is very uncomfortable. I do not like this situation, and I got out of it. But it took a lot out of me to get out. It took a lot to get me out of it, and it took a friend telling me, you can come and stay with me because you have nowhere to go. And it took a lot of, is this what you want? Are you happy? You don't seem happy. I kept saying, I'm happy. And I wasn't happy. I had meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. I have a video that I made of me having breakdowns throughout a week. And it was just these panic attacks that were being put on me because of the person I was with. And I had this one specific clip from a video where I looked down at my phone while I'm trying to film a completely different video. I look down at my phone and I see like these horrible, mean things coming from this person in a text. And I just break down again because it was like one after another of being talked down to and being told that I was horrible. I was the problem. All right. We'll get into all of it, but it was a lot of manipulation. I did go into this relationship very uncomfortable from the start because if you know my channel, I am gay. I represent the people that are on the scale of sexuality where I feel like I'm in between a lesbian and pansexual. I fall closer to lesbian on that scale. So I use lesbian a lot, and I currently do feel like I am a lesbian. I do know sexuality changes, and I think during this time I was a little bit confused because I had just gotten out of a relationship with a woman, and I had only dated women for the last 5-6 years at the time. So at this point I was very confused. I had also just recently lost my dad a few months before meeting this person. And I was just in a really confused kind of low point in my life. And that is something you need to be careful of when you are at a low point. You definitely need support from your friends and family because this is the time where you are easily going to be manipulated and people will prey on you when you're at your low. At this point, I just got on with that relationship. I just lost my dad and he approached me and said he wanted to take me on a date. I had feelings of being very uncomfortable when he asked me because I did know he was a lot older than me. I was just kind of confused by it. I was like, why would you want to take me out on a date? I literally looked straight up gay. I had very short hair at the time. I just was like, I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand. Like, he knew that I was gay. We met at work. I'll say that. We met at work. And so we already knew about each other because we had worked together. And so he probably had met my girlfriend before. I didn't know how much he knew about me or my life or anything like that, but I did know he knew I was gay. And I don't know if he knew that my dad had just passed away or any of that. I don't know. But it just felt like a very interesting time for him to ask me on a date. I went back and forth about it for like about a week. And I talked to some of my other coworkers and they were like, you should just do it. You know, they were trying to be helpful, get me back out there while I was at a low point, like trying to make me feel better. And so I ended up going on the date with him. And I think this is also important to mention. Every single time I hung out with him, we were drinking. He would buy more drinks. And even when I would say, you know what, I don't really want any more drinks, he'd be like, why? Like, why aren't you any fun? Why don't you want to drink? Or if I would say I didn't want to drink that night, he'd be like, why? Why wouldn't you want to have fun? And just kind of saying things like that just so that I would want to drink. And when you're drinking, you kind of don't make decisions that you normally would have. It felt like fun because we were drinking, we were hanging out. It was a nice fancy restaurants and rooftop bars and places like that. So it did feel like a lot of fun. And it felt good to kind of not have to think about all the actual things that were going on in my life that I was still not healed from. And that's what drinking does. It numbs you from those things, or it kind of just wipes them from your memory for a short amount of time. And I think that's where the manipulation started. And like me being so vulnerable at this time definitely was an easy target. And I don't know if he noticed that and if he intentionally did that, but I don't think he did. And I think that's also me still being naive. So I don't really know. It was my choice to be in this relationship, but I also felt like things were going at 1,000 miles per hour. Within a few short months, he asked me to move in with him. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and then started talking about marriage and kids. And this was all within the year. Like we didn't last longer than a year, honestly. I think it was just a year. But within a few short months, yeah, I was already proposed to. I wasn't surprised by it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we had definitely talked about it. And I went and looked at the ring and everything, but I was kind of at a place where I was just going with the speed. Like, it was happening fast. He kept saying, you know, I'm older, like I can't wait around. Like, if you know you love me, you should want this. And at the time, like, I was just like, okay, like, let's do it so that we don't fight about it. Let's do it so that you don't make me feel bad about it, and all of these things. He talked about wanting to have kids and a lot, and I said, you know, I don't want that till after marriage. So I think that was one thing that was kind of leading to that. And I also said I don't want it for a while. You know, I was only 23. I still don't think I want to have kids until I'm like 35 or older. Like, I don't want to be a young parent. But he kept saying, you know, I'm so old. Like, if you love me, you would want me to have a family. Like, I'm getting old. I can't have kids like super late. Like, no kids are going to want to have a grandpa as a father. That would try and make me feel bad about it. I feel like I don't have to share what I'm about to share with you guys, but I do want to share it because I think it's important to show the trapping of this relationship. So, and this is partly my fault. I'm not going to say it's all his fault, but I haven't shared this with many people, and I'm about to share it online. I ended up getting pregnant, and I remember the moment that it happened because we didn't really have a lot of sex. I was very uncomfortable, and now it makes a lot more sense why I was so uncomfortable, but we didn't really have a lot of sex. So I do remember the moment, and I remember it getting inside of me and me saying, did you get this inside of me? Because, like, you know that you shouldn't do that, because I'm not trying to get pregnant and I don't want to take any chances, which, whoop, we took a chance. But yeah, so basically there was stuff inside me. He was like, no, that's not me, that's you. And I was like, well, where did you get it? And he's like, oh, I cleaned it up already. So I knew in that moment there had been stuff inside me, and I didn't really think too much about it because I thought for the longest time I wasn't able to get pregnant. For some reason, I thought, you never know until it actually happens to you. But I thought I couldn't get pregnant. I thought there was no way. And we shortly broke up after that encounter, and I had moved back to NorCal, and I started feeling really sick and really tired, and I was like, something is not right. I went and got a pregnancy test, and I was pregnant. This was before I even missed my period. I went to Planned Parenthood and found out I was pregnant. I decided to make the decision that was right for me, which was abort it. And you don't have to agree with me, but I did not want to have a kid at this time of my life, and I did not want to have a kid with the person that it was. And again, part of it was my mistake, not being on birth control, not wearing a condom, those types of things. But I think part of it was also him trying to trap me at a point where we were fighting so much and I was trying to get out of the relationship. That was a hard moment to grasp. And like I said, you don't have to agree with my decision, but I decided not to have a kid with somebody that I didn't want to have a kid with. And at a time in my life when I was not ready nor able to give a child a good life. So that was one of the things. I'm going to backtrack a little bit back to all the manipulation and gaslighting and stuff like that. I was gifted a bunch of stuff. I was brought to fancy dinners and dates and trips. And in return, felt like I had to do what he said and be in this relationship with him because he had already given me so much and was so kind and took care of me and whatever. When I wouldn't listen, when I wouldn't do what he said, when I wasn't obedient, it was, well, I've done all these things for you and you do nothing for me. And it was like, what could I give you? Like, I don't have the same amount of money as you. I don't have the same resources as you. I can't give you the same thing. And then another thing that I had mentioned on my channel before was a lot of the past relationships I had been in, like I said, had been with women, and he knew from the beginning. It was our first date and I had brought it up and he said, I know that you've been, only dating women, and I am fine with that. He said, he understood it and was fine that I was pansexual, tried to understand it. And that had been a huge problem. We went to a Palm Springs trip with a group of my friends, and after he yelled at me that I was clearly interested in one of my friends, which was a friend who was straight and in a relationship with a man and had never been with women, and I wasn't into, at all. There was no interest for me there. When I'm in a relationship, I don't really think about anybody else, so it was just completely wrong, and I was yelled at. I was told that I was into her and that I was trying to cheat on him with her, or that I did that trip, even though there was at 0 point was I away from the group, so I don't know when that would have happened. There was another trip that I took, and I took it on my own. I went up to visit my friends in NorCal, and again, I was told when I got back that he saw my dirty laundry and that my underwear was dirty, and so it looked like I had sex with somebody. I know that's pretty fucking gross, but I do want to, tell you guys how intense I was monitored. So he said I cheated on him and that caused a huge problem. Then there was other instances where one of my friends was staying the weekend at our house, and he actually had a trip that weekend that was planned on his own. I didn't know that he was going to be gone. So my friend was staying at our house and later called me and said, you're probably cheating on me with her, all these things. Again, just a friend. And so when he got back, or he blocked me for the rest of the weekend, and when he got back, he told me to move out. And I was like, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm not going anywhere. And these were the types of things that would happen. And then he would be fine, and then he would want to take me shopping or something like that. I remember right after this situation, we went to the mall, where we were headed to the mall, and we started talking about it, and he called me a dirty whore, you slut, skank, all these things. And I went to punch him, and my seatbelt, because of the fast motion, stopped me from punching him in the face while we were driving, because I had never heard anyone say those things to my face like that. And I didn't know how to react, and that was my first reaction. And luckily I didn't, because who knows what would happen, a car wreck or anything like that. But he pulled off to the side of the road and told me to get out on the side of the freeway. I didn't get out. I said, I refuse to get out. You can take me back home and you can drop me off there, but I refuse to get out on the side of the freeway. And there was so many instances like this And I had never done anything. I had never cheated on him. I had never literally done anything for him to treat me like this. And on the way back, I started recording on my phone because I knew he was going to say more mean things, and I just didn't want to forget that moment. Because at that point, I had decided, you know, I'm done with this. I don't want this anymore. I put my phone on record. He said a bunch of mean things. I turned it off record, and I said, thank God I recorded that because I don't want to forget this. And he said, why would you do that? That's so weird. Like, no one does that. That's the weirdest thing that I've ever heard. You should delete that right now. Like, you're weird for that. Telling me that I had, like, done something so crazy weird that no one would ever do. And I wish I didn't listen to him that day. And I wish I saved it. But I deleted it because I was so scared. Like, I thought I would not cry. I don't want to cry. I'm not going to cry. But I was so scared. Like, he had so much control over my life at this point. Moving in with him and not having anywhere to go, and him being like a giant, huge, like over 200 pound, like 200 something pound man. I felt so weak and I was scared. And so I deleted it and kept trying to make this relationship work for some reason because I was terrified. And I was always told that I was like the one in the wrong, that I was the horrible person because I was always moody and sad. And it's like, yeah, man, I literally lost my dad a year ago, like less than a year ago. Of course I'm sad. Like, what? The way I got out of this situation was after so many months of this torture and this uncomfortable lifestyle. I started sticking up for myself. I slowly but surely, and finally there was the last straw. It was just some verbal abuse about me not answering the phone, actually. I didn't answer the phone for about an hour while I was getting ready in the morning, and he called me and just started screaming and yelling, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all these things. And so I said, if you keep talking to me like this, I'm going to leave today. And he just kept yelling. And so I hung up and I got a U-Haul and I packed all my things up with the help of my stepmom and my stepbrother and sister. And then my best friend flew down to LA and we got in the U-Haul and she drove with me all the way back up north. And that's how I moved back to NorCal. That is how the relationship ended. The advice I would give my younger self in this situation would be to give advice to yourself like you would a best friend or a family member, somebody that you care about. What advice would you give them? And then take that advice. Because I think it's hard to tell what you need when you're trying to give yourself advice, but when you're giving it to somebody else, you give good advice. So take that advice. It's hard to see what you can do because in the moment you feel so trapped. But if you look at it from a different perspective, you know that you have friends and family there that will support you and help you. And all you have to do is tell them what's going on and they're gonna be there to support you. So I would give that advice to my younger self. I hope you got something out of this video, whether that is comfort in knowing that you're not alone, whether that is something educational that you didn't know before, and hopefully you can learn from this, learn from my mistakes, and anything like that. I hope you took something from this. If you did, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments any of your thoughts that you'd like to share, and I'll see you in this video right here.